So in his teachings, he was basically speaking to everyone about the importance of their self-love and taking back their power. And he was saying that, you know, reminding everyone about soul contracts, which I've talked about on the show before, of how we have soul contracts with people in our life. This is like the karmic energy of why you had to go work with that boss for a while and you didn't know why, but you did your job and then you're just done. You know, you're done and it's time to move on. Or maybe it was a relationship. You felt drawn to it. Something didn't feel right. You worked out some karma with each other and then you knew it was time to go. And so Matt Kahn's definition of a soul contract being complete is he said that the moment any form of abuse arises, that soul contract is complete. And so we have to change and shift old belief systems that tell us, oh, I can't leave this marriage. Once I give a vow, I have to stay forever. Like, till death do us part. Fuck that shit. Like, till death do us part. You don't need to die to get out of contracts. Every one of you, if you take your power back, you can get out of those fucking contracts right now. I'm just going to challenge you on that. Because we have these belief systems that tell us, oh, I have to stay 6 more months, or I have to tolerate this person for however much longer. Oh, I have to stay in this marriage for this much longer, or this job. No, you don't, actually. You don't have to stay another day in a situation that does not show you honor or respect. And I would encourage you not to. And what's amazing and what's powerful is that if you'd have known Tanya Love back when she was Tanya Gentleman, I was not the woman speaking today. I was terrified. I was insecure. I didn't really trust in myself. I ignored my intuition. I felt like nothing. I felt suicidal. I was so terrified of life. I wanted to escape this planet, go back with the angels. So the girl I am today, the woman I've become today, she had to work her ass off to get out of all those situations. And it was a journey that helped ignite the power that I now use to fuel these conversations with all of you. These soul conversations come from my pure truth and my pure authentic path and passion and purpose to help wake anyone and everyone up who's listening. Because like Matt Kahn said, the moment abuse enters, your contract is done. And you need to each remember this, that the divinity in you did not come to this planet to be enslaved and to be tortured and to be abused. But each of us choosing to go into these contrasting situations, we chose that strategically to learn and to understand of the darkness. We wanted to learn about it. But once that abuse comes in, we need to remember that those contracts are done and we can move on. And those people that are hurting, they need to go find their path to healing. And maybe you're not their guide. Maybe you're not their teacher. And this is something that I really had to process myself, because I love helping others and I love to be a teacher and inspire others. But I had to get to this place where I realized maybe I'm not the one to help that daughter, or maybe I'm not the one that's going to help that husband. Maybe he needs to go through lifetimes of this torturous energy. Maybe he needs to enslave 50 more women before he fucking wakes up. I don't know, but I don't need to be there. And so we need to get to that place where we stop being the martyrs that we were trained to be, especially women. I feel like women in particular struggle with this because we're like, oh, I got to stay for the children. I got to stay for this. No, you fucking don't. I'm just going to say, you do not have to stay for anything. What you need to do is you need to love yourselves again. And I remember years ago having a guy, it was after like a domestic violence thing had happened between me and my ex. And I was talking with this guy and I was just really embarrassed. I just felt shameful about the whole thing. I was so embarrassed that just the situation had happened. And I was kind of crying. And this guy came over and he's like, you know what your problem is? He's like, your problem is you have no self-esteem. And he's like, you need to get some self-esteem, girl. And he just said it so bluntly. And I didn't even know this guy. And at first it pissed me off. I was kind of like, who does he fucking think he is? He doesn't know who I am. Why is he saying this to me? Exactly right. But when he left, the words stayed, as they always do when messengers come to drop the seeds of truth. And I really processed and I was like, shit, I don't. Like, how do I get some? How do I get some of that self-esteem shit? You know, how do I do that? And so I say this with such compassion, any of you, wherever you are, because there's times in my journey that I've been in that place where I had no self-esteem, and it was terrifying. But I promise you, just like what I just read by my friend on Facebook, he's saying that as we love ourselves more and we build our self-esteem is going to rise. We're going to start feeling better. We're going to make better choices. If you have shitty self-esteem, you're probably hanging out with shitty people, and you're probably doing shitty things to yourself. You're probably drinking too much, smoking too much, doing drugs, having random sex, who knows? But you're doing those things because you're not having good self-esteem. And if you start shifting that and you start caring more about how you feel about yourself than how those shitty people think of you or feel about you, you're going to break free of the chains of bondage just like Tanya Love did. And there's nothing magical about my life compared to like, oh, she could do it, but I can't do it. Like Tanya's so strong. She has angels with you. You know what? Every one of you have angels with you. Every one of you can access the divine and call in source energy to help you and to support you. But every one of you have to start living authentically, and you have to start listening to the messages. You have to start valuing the spiritual teachers that come to you to help you. And you got to stop with the goddamn excuses and the procrastination and the addictions and all the distractions. Because I promise you, you can watch this video today and you can watch it in 100 years and this message is still going to be true. It is not going to make you feel better to chase all that external shit. What's going to help you feel better is to tune in and own your shit and clear your shit and then love everybody that brought that shit to you. And that may sound impossible today if you're really in the shit, but I can tell you, I'm in a place now where I can look back at all those villains and those mean beings that abused me and tried to enslave me, and some that tried to actually take my physical life. And I can honestly say thank you to them, and I can thank them for waking me up and helping me to claim my power back, helping me to get on my fucking mission and get busy and do the work I came here to do, and to live in my power and live authentically. And so, do I think that I need to go through that anymore? No, I don't. But I can look back with honor and reverence and thank those beings for igniting my mission. And we need to just start looking at this. Like when people are coming along and they're probing at you and they're disrespecting you, look at that as the universe kicking you in the ass saying, it's time to go, it's time to go, it's time to go. And we can ignore the messages and just stay and procrastinate. But the inevitable is coming. And that is that you are being guided from the universe to move on. And so I would encourage you to stop procrastinating because it's causing suffering. And your suffering is absolutely optional. Promise you. So I'm going to pause for a second. Amnon, anybody writing in? And if you guys have questions or comments, feedback, you can relate. Please write in or feel free to call in if you want to.
Cindy's saying, maybe I'm not the one that needs to teach them their lesson.
Indeed.
And then she says, I do need to hear that. Good advice. I so needed to hear that. Good advice.
I love it when whatever Spirit's bringing through is because it was so needed. Yep. So beautiful. And yes, Cindy, you are not everyone's teacher. And on that note, this is so perfect that she synchronistically brought that message, because now I'm going to read you what the universe has to say about that, Cindy. And this randomly showed up on my Facebook last night. Some girl shared it out of the blue, and it was just so perfect for what all I was going through. So it says, you are not for everyone. The world is filled with people who, no matter what you do, will point blank not like you. But it is also filled with those who will love you fiercely. They are your people. You are not for everyone, and that's okay. Talk to the people who can hear you. And really think about that. Talk to the people who can hear you. Connect with the people who can see you. And there's a difference. Like, I really laugh. I gotta laugh because life is fucking funny sometimes. But, like, I look at, like, my daughter sending me all these hateful texts. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, I don't even know where this is coming from. And I just respond with loving messages back. And I'm, trying to do my best to make a connection and to find out what's going on with her. And it's like I told Will, it's like we're playing volleyball. And I'm hitting the ball over the net and she's just flapping it to the side. And then I hit the ball and then she flacks it to the side. And after a while, when you're playing ball with someone like that, you're just like, you know what, this sucks. This game sucks. This is the worst volleyball game ever. And so that's what it's like when you're spending your energy and your time trying to save people who don't want, well, don't even save them, but you're trying to speak your messages of truth to ears that don't want to hear you. It's just like they flack your volleyball to the side. They don't see you. They don't want to hear you. And so if you don't waste your time, you're going to have so much more fun if you like realize right then, like, you know what, every time I serve the ball to this person, they freaking whack the ball to the side. This sucks. You're a terrible volleyball player. I'm leaving, and I love you, and thank you for showing me how not to play volleyball. And then you go over and you find a new playmate. Hey, you want to play volleyball? And they return the ball, and they return the ball. This is fun, and this is relationship. Like, relationship is relating. When we have relationship, we relate to one another, and we pass the ball back and forth, and it's fun. It can be playful. When there's not a relationship, there are people that cling to each other, but they don't have relationship. Does that make sense? Is she responding? I'll give her a second. Okay, so back to what I was just reading. You are not for everyone. So talk to the people who can hear you. Spend time with the people who can see you. Don't waste your precious time and gifts trying to convince them of your value. They won't ever want what you're selling. That is so perfect. Like, think of like every time you're trying to convince people of anything, like if I'm trying to help people understand spiritual alignment and they don't want what I'm selling, I'm going to feel exhausted and frustrated. And this is why I do not chase customers. Like if clients come to yoga and meditation, let's say they come for like a month, and then I don't hear from them for a while, I may invite them back like, hey, I was just noticing I haven't seen you in a while and I'd love to see you. But if they don't really want to heal and they don't really want the mindfulness, they're going to just ignore me. And so it's smart for me not to keep investing my time and energy into those who don't want what I'm selling. And if I'm selling inner peace and understanding and wisdom and they don't want it, stop trying to sell it to them. And you will save your time, you'll save your energy. But I promise you, there are people who want that. And they would love to hear what you have to say. Focus on those people. Those are your people.
She said it does make sense.
Perfect. Okay, I already knew she would say that because Cindy and I, I'm just kidding. Okay, so don't waste your precious time and gifts trying to convince them of your value. They won't ever want what you're selling. Don't convince them to walk alongside you. You'll be wasting both your time and theirs and will likely inflict unnecessary wounds, which will take precious time to heal. And think about that, how maybe some of us have family and we feel like, oh, I've got to hang out with my siblings, even though I can't stand them. And they're like, maybe my sibling is the most controlling freak on the planet and just makes my stomach sick to hang out with, but I got to hang out with them because it's my sibling. No, you freaking don't. And this is that, remember way back, if you guys look like a year back in my shows, the messages were from source, do not be attached to role and title. That message could not be any deeper of truth, and it has been shown to me through every way it could show up. Source is showing me, nope, don't be attached to your daughter. Nope, don't be attached to your friend. Nope, don't be attached to that husband who's now leaving. Nope, don't be attached to the people's opinion about that. Don't be attached to any of it, because that's where the suffering comes from. And so if we really can be authentic, then I, Tanya, care more about what Tanya thinks about Tanya than I care about what anybody else in the world thinks about Tanya. That's why I feel so happy and confident no matter how popular I am. But there can be people that they have 1 million likes and they've got all these followers, but they're miserable and they're doing drugs behind the scenes because they can't stand their life and they can't stand the fakeness that they are in front of all these people. Why would we want that? And so we got to stop believing that success means just tons of followers or lots of money or just people that all agree with us. I was just watching Marianne Williamson, and I highly recommend you guys all watch this after I am done with the show today. Go right to YouTube and type in Marianne Williamson religious speech, and it should come up. But basically, she just gave this speech at this convention of all the world's religions, and it is fucking awesome. Like, she is on fire, and when she's speaking, I just got fired up with her, and I was like, that is my soul sister. Like, she is a warrior, and she is roaring. And I love how she cuts through the bullshit and she speaks her truth. And she